Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm going to be your host for this morning's session. So welcome along to our second webinar of our International Accounting Day 2025 webinar badge series. We're looking at Sage Copilot, and specifically we're looking at the payment reminders functionality today. We will give you a little bit of an overview of Copilot because I'm sure many of you will not have really some of you probably won't even heard of Copilot. Some of you will be using it. Some of you will have read a little bit about it, wondering what it's all about. Some wondering whether to take that step to start using it or not. So that's what we're going to go through today. Now, just before we get stuck into the webinar, a little bit of housekeeping. So as usual, if you've got a microphone, which you don't need for our sessions, it will be muted automatically if you've enabled one. You'll find you can't unmute yourself during the session. So any questions that you have for us today, you'll need to pop them into the questions panel. To access that, you just click the little speech bubble icon. It's on the toolbar down the right-hand side of your screen. Give it a click, it'll expand. You get access to that box in the bottom corner. So questions, comments, pop them in there. Remember to click send, otherwise we won't see them. If anyone wants a copy of today's handout as well, which is basically a copy of today's slides, those are available to download during the session. And because it's a digital badge series, we do include a link to those handouts afterwards as well. So you will receive a follow-up email around about an hour after we finish. That will include a link to today's recording. So if you need a bit of a recap, or maybe you want to share it with your colleagues, it will include a link to the handout for today's webinar, a link to our webinar registration page, so opportunity to sign up for loads more if you are interested. Timetable currently runs up, includes this month and next. And also it includes a link to our recordings page as well. So if you've missed any sessions, it's a good way to catch up. Now for International Accounting Day, which was actually yesterday, but we're celebrating it with a few topics this week. And also we'll be repeating those sessions next week. So we started with bank feeds yesterday. If you haven't attended that one before, it's been around for a long time, bank feeds. Abby takes you through that one. She'll be taking you through that again next week if you are interested. Today we're looking at session number 2, which is Copilot and the automated payment reminders. Laura will be taking you through Sage Connect tomorrow, and on Thursday we've got Matt taking you through AI document capture. So something a little bit different from our standard topics, where we look at sort of processing within the software, entering bank transactions and invoices and doing your VAT returns and bank reconciliations and running year ends. So these are a little bit different. These are, I suppose, what we would term our connected services. So looking at additional options that you've got to support you with your accounting. There is also a quiz session as well, so you can test your knowledge on that one. If you want to qualify for the badge, to earn that digital badge, you need to attend 3 of those 4 first topics plus one of the quiz sessions. Doesn't matter whether you attend them this week, next week, or a combination of the 2. If you do 3 of the 4 plus the quiz, you will earn that digital badge. It should be sent out via email. So watch out for that one if and when you do qualify. For today's session, where we're looking at Copilot and payment reminders, I'm going to give you a quick brief introduction and overview of Sage Copilot for those of you that might not have touched it before. Point you in the right direction as well. So some of you won't be set up, but you might think, well, actually, I would like to start using it. I'll give it a go. So point you in that direction where you can find out that type of information. I'm not running through the setting up of it today. We'll then crack on with payment reminders itself, give you an idea what you can do. And then obviously we'll be running through a bit of a demonstration as well for you as well. It's all good and well me just sitting telling you about it, but I'm sure you want to see it in action, make it a bit more meaningful to you. Towards the end, we'll explain more about the additional support. And if anyone does have any questions, which I'm hoping, just keep them coming as we're working through the session today. We're joined by Abby and Laura. They'll be on hand to help me answer those questions. So you might get a typed answer, you might get sent a link to where you can find that information, or it might be myself that chips in with an additional, either an answer or maybe a little bit of an additional demo here and there. But keep them coming. We'll try our best to pick up as many as we can. So just to quickly get it out of the way, first of all, before we delve into Copilot, think of Copilot as your, I suppose what we term your digital assistant. It's going to surface key information for you. But availability-wise, not everyone will have access to Copilot. So availability-wise, you must be using Sage 50 accounts version 31.1 or above, currently up to 32, version 32, and 33 will be coming out within the next month or two, I think. You need to be on the standard or the professional level of the software. And you must be based in the UK. So if you're currently based in Ireland, you actually won't have, even though you might meet those first two parts of the criteria, you won't actually have access to Copilot just yet. There is no time scale for that one just yet either. I get asked about that one all the time. Now, your current subscription includes a single user license. Additional license can be added to your subscription if required. So I just wanted to almost get that out of the way just before we get inundated with questions. Now, as far as setting it up is concerned, if you aren't yet using it, there's loads of information in our help center to help you get up and running with that. All you do is you head along to sage.co.uk/help. There is a Sage Copilot panel. And in there, you'll find information about the introduction to Copilot, sort of step-by-step guide to setting it up, using it, and also how you can log in using your Sage account. So loads of information on there. I think there's some additional information on there now as well for the additional benefits that have been added in the recent versions as well. But that's where you'll find that if you aren't yet using Copilot. Now, Copilot has three key features, what I would identify as three key features. First of all, there are insights. Now, insights are available in a number of different ledgers. I'll quickly show you one of these in a moment. So you'll find it in customers and suppliers, products and services, nominal codes, and transactions. Now, depending on your version, it'll either on your toolbar, it'll either say Copilot Insights or it'll just say Sage Copilot if you're on a slightly more up-to-date version. And you just access that and it'll open a panel down the side of your screen. And the panel's basically, I think I've got an example of one. So the one that's available within the transactions ledger, it helps you to identify processing anomalies. So it'll look for things like transactions with unexpected nominal codes, unexpected tax codes, transaction amounts, VAT amounts. So anything to do with identifying issues always goes down really well. So identifying them up front rather than 3-4 months down the line, you get to month end or year end and you realize there's some sort of issue. This will help. It'll try and identify that. And it's something that if you are using Copilot, I would encourage you to access it regularly. The sooner you find these processing errors, the better. So from that as well, you'll be able to obviously drill into the various options and view what it thinks might be a processing error, but then you'll have the option to ignore it or correct it there and then. So as I say, you'll find different options in the various ledgers that you have available. So Copilot Insights is what was introduced first for Copilot. So providing you that sort of almost like top level information. So it saves you having to go around sort of digging for that. The second one was report with Copilot. So we get loads of questions on our support team about, right, I just want this basic report. I want a list of invoices with T0 tax code, for instance. Now, yeah, there are a number of ways you can actually generate that in Sage. It might be you send the information to Excel, you could design the report yourself, but quite often people will ask us, I want to design that report, and people have a go at that. And if you've used a report designer before, you might think, well, actually it can be quite complicated. It can be. It's a really powerful tool. But the idea with Copilot is that it helps you to create those customized transaction-based reports. So they're all based around that transactions list. So it'll create that report for you just as a standard Sage report, and you'll be able to run that. And it means that you've got that available going forward as well if necessary. Any reports that you do design via Report with Copilot, that will be saved as standard Sage reports, and can also be edited as well. If you want to make changes going forward, you can make changes to those reports using the report designer. But really easy to use that one. If you want to see that one in action, something I would encourage you to have a go of as well if you are using Copilot. Just need to go in any ledger. But I'll quickly show you those two in just a moment. I'll show you the insights and how you would access Report with Copilot before we get stuck into the payment reminders itself. But they're really easy to access and really easy to generate reports. There's also a detailed analysis as well, which feeds into your insights. So just before we move on to payment reminders, which is what we want to concentrate on in today's session, I'll quickly share my screen and I'll give you a bit of a whirlwind tour of some of the Copilot features. So the one I mentioned earlier, the Copilot Insights. So you've got it available in a number of different your ledgers, and you've got the Sage Copilot option on your toolbar at the top. So remember, it's customers, suppliers, nominal codes, transactions, and also in your products and services. And when you click that, it'll open a panel down the right-hand side of your screen. It'll do a little bit of processing, and obviously it's not found much in my case, but it's saying, right, we've got some transactions with unexpected amounts. Now, it might just be a one-off, or 5 one-offs in my case. So transactions which have an unusual amount based on what we've processed in the past, and it identifies those. It's telling me we've got some 3 invoices. I've got a purchase invoice, I've got a bank receipt, I've got the transaction numbers. I can click onto them if I need to, and there's also actions. Do I want to edit the transaction? Do I just say, well, actually, that's fine. I've amended that in the past, or I can just, well, actually, yeah, it was a one-off. I can just ignore that one. There's nothing wrong with that one. So we can just flag it and it disappears from that list. Others will surface other key information as well. So if we just pop into customers as an example, we click Sage Copilot, and again, it provides different information. Now I've got a really low resolution on my monitor today to make things that little bit bigger, so hopefully you can read it. So you'll find when I access it, things are quite big. So I'm scrolling up and down quite a bit when I'm using this. You probably find on yours, if you're using a decent resolution, a standard sort of resolution on your monitor or your laptop, you probably find that you don't need to do that. But things like business performance, we've got it for the current month. It'll compare that to the last month and also the same period for the previous financial year. You can drill into these options as well. You've got your debt summary in there for debt management. We'll come back to that one because that's where your payment reminders live. And you've also got things like sales ledger turnover. So have a bit play around with those as well. A lot of it is just surfacing key information to you, so you're not having to go and run reports yourself. Report with Copilot, you'll be able to access that from just about any ledger where you've got a reports option. So even though the reports are based around your transactions list, so this list here, it's not based around customer record information or invoices and credits. It's based around the information that's listed here. So any ledger where you've got, we'll just pop back to customers, where you've got the reports option, what you'll have is when you're using Copilot, you'll have the Sage Copilot option on the top. If you're on an older version, that will be called Report with Copilot. And when you access it, again, it'll open this panel, gives you a little brief introduction to it. And the idea is here, you will type in a message. So what is it you're after? So if I wanted it to show invoices for, this is the example it gives you. So show sales invoices from last month, grouped by customer, filter by gross amount over £500 and sort by gross amount descending. You would just type that type of thing in this message box, click send, it will go away, do its thing. It might come back and ask you some more questions, but essentially it will generate the design of that report for you to save you having to, find the report you're after on your list and then highlight it and start trying to edit it within the report designer itself. Again, have a go of that. You can't do any harm just by creating a report. So if you're using Copilot, get into one of the ledgers, click Sage Copilot or Report with Copilot, or if you're on a slightly older version, and then have a go of that. Right, let's quickly pop back to the slides. I just wanted to quickly cover that, just to give you an idea, the sort of the scope of Copilot before we get stuck into the main event today, which is, find the right slide, payment reminders. So let me just switch back to the slides there. So payment reminders. So it forms part of the debt management within that customers, the Copilot insight within customers. So we'll have that option. You'll see that in a moment when we run through a bit of a demonstration for you. And the idea of payment reminders is makes it easy for you to send. Now, you've always had that letters option within Sage. It's been there since day one. Not many people use it, I don't think. You can print, you can email them using that option. But with that option, the letters option or the statements option, you've got to remember to do it yourself. So it's a task that you might do regularly, you might not. You might just think, well, we do a statement run at the end of each month. With payment reminders, it can achieve that sort of thing. Not every invoice is just due. That might depend on your sort of the type of business you work in, but not every invoice is due on the last day of the month. So it might be due partway through the month, depending on your payment terms. So the idea with this is it improves your debt management, helps you to generate your payment reminders, to email them out to your customers. It'll identify who needs to be sent one of those, compared to just looking at your customer list and thinking, all right, those three there, they're the three today that I'm going to generate a payment reminder for. Now you can do it manually, and we'll see that in a moment, but you can also automate the task. So as soon as an invoice hits the due date, you can say, right, I want you to send out that payment reminder. You can do them in advance. So if you offer 30 days credit, you can say, right, well, 3 days before the due date, I want you to send out a payment reminder. So you're not having to remember to do it yourself. You can schedule that. You can put in the settings. Now you can personalize your email templates. They're provided for you as normal, similar to invoices and letter templates. You're provided with loads of those, but you can personalize that. So if you want to change the wording and include certain information, you can do that. It's really easy to do it as well. And when it sends that information within your likes of your customers, you've got the communication history, so it will update that just to say, right, that has actually been sent out. Right, so let's have a bit of a demonstration. We'll have a look around and see what's available to you. So I'll go back to sharing my screen. And as I say, it's all to do with debt management, your payment reminders. So in customers, if we just click the Sage Copilot option. Now, payment reminders is something that's been brought in the latest edition. So we're on 32.1 now. So if you're just on 31.1 or just 32, you won't have the payment reminders option available to you. So we're going to go into the customers and then into Sage Copilot. So we're essentially just accessing that insight. So again, gives us that information we briefly looked at, so where you can view sales breakdowns, etc. But we've got that debt summary. So click debt management. So it's even just giving us a top level there. It tells me 5 sales invoices worth X amount are overdue. 1 invoice is due in the next 7 days and it's worth a certain amount. So it gives you that top level information, just like anything else in Copilot, in the insights. You can drill down. So we can click into debt management. Now, initially when you go in, you get these sort of help screens. So I think when you first start using it, and this is a bit like, I always think it's similar to bank feeds. when you start using it, these pop-ups feel like it's almost like getting in the way. So it feels like a little bit disjointed and doesn't flow very well. So you do have the option to not show the message again if you want. I would probably recommend that once you've started using it, you tick the box. But I'm just going to leave it there for my demo so it keeps popping up. We continue to debt management. So this is what the debt management for Sage Copilot looks like. So we got the two basic tabs. We've got the overdue tab. So it's telling me we've got 5, so it's listing them as well. So we've got basic or key information about each of the invoices in this instance. Now it is based on invoices that have been updated to the ledgers. If you've just entered an invoice and you forgot to update it, it's not going to pick that up. So it must be updated to the customer's account. And then we've got the other tab, upcoming. So this is the one where it's identifying invoices that are outstanding, haven't been paid yet, but they will be due within the next 7 days. So again, it gives you your key information about that. So just to emphasize the fact and how quick the updating is, we've only got one which is upcoming at the moment. If I go back into just my main Sage 50 account, so we've got an invoice here. I just entered this one a little bit earlier, just for the purpose of the example. This one wasn't listed, so if we quickly look at it, go into it, we'll see the due date on this one is the 13th. So that if I'd updated that to the customer's account, which I haven't yet, but this one will be due within the next couple of days. So that wasn't identified just yet. So I'm going to quickly update this one to the ledgers, just so it is reflected on the customer's outstanding balance. It'll post the relevant transactions for me to the ledgers, etc. at that point. So that one now shows, this one here, now shows as having been posted. So it's for this FG landscapes. And if we go back to customers, we'll see we've now got an outstanding balance against that account. So let's go back to Sage Copilot. So quick little bit of processing there. So now even telling me now we've got two more invoices that are due within the next 7 days now. So the original one plus the one I've just updated. So that's something to be aware of. If you're thinking, well, why is that one? Why is that one not getting pulled through? Make sure you've updated it to the customer's account and check those due dates on it as well. It needs to be within the next 7 days, the due date, for it to be picked up. So we now see we've got both of them in there. We're not waiting for any data to go back and forwards or anything like that. It's just straight in there. So we can see it here. We can click onto it. Now this is the actual transaction number as well, 1346. I can click on it. I can have a look at the detail if I wanted to. Similarly, the account reference, and this goes for the overdue tab as well. The account reference, we can click onto that, and it would take us into the relevant customer record. So for the upcoming transactions, it's currently telling me chase status, no reminder has yet been sent. The chase history, if I click that, it's telling me, right, nothing's been done for that one yet. And then we've got actions as well. Just scroll across so you can see that one. So we've got actions, and from the drop down, we can choose what we want to do. We can compose a reminder email. We can generate a statement, or we just say, remind me about this one later. I don't need to do anything about that just yet. Right, so if I want to do it manually, I would do it within these screens. So I can do it manually for overdue transactions as well. So I just click this one as an example. Again, we've got essentially the same information that's listed there. I'll go into actions. I'll compose a reminder email. Now, a lot of the information is pulled through automatically for you. So it's pulled through. it's pulled through. Now, if you're familiar with, I suppose, what you would term mail merge, if you go that far back, or if you're familiar with the report designer, we've got a variable here, or what you would term a data field. It's going to pull through the email address from the customer record. Now, it's email address 1. You can pop in a CC address, a BCC address as well, if required. You've also got a subject line, which you can amend if required. So it's going to say invoice, the invoice number, and was due on whatever the date is for that invoice. And then we got some information here about what is it we want to, what's it? This is, so essentially this is the template. So we can choose which one we want to view. So we'll choose the overdue reminder. Now, if we want to change it, we can just click in and we can start making changes if we want to. Just start typing if you want to. We can add additional information as well. So we can click show data fields. You say, right, well, actually we want to pull through, you know, the company name, for instance. So we've got loads of various fields that we can pull through that you're likely to want to use in here. You can also draft with Copilot as well. So if you choose sort of your overdue reminder, you can choose sort of, well, actually, I just want a short email or medium long, you can choose that. And then you could just click draft with Copilot and it will amend it accordingly based on your requirements. But you'll then still be able to make amends if needed. So if I was actually happy with that, I'm just quite happy with this email, I can just click send. So we just set that going. Now, when we do that, it's going to pick up your email settings. So it's telling me the email was sent successfully. We just okay that. And we can click on the chase history here as well. We can view it and it's telling me, right, an overdue reminder was sent. Tis the 11th of the 11th today at 11:28. So it records that in the communication history as well. Just close out of that for a moment. So there's BUS001. If I click against that account and we have a look at communications, and we'll see it records it. So a bit like if you use any customer relationship type software to record your contacts with them, you've got that in the communications tab of your customer record. Just give it a click and we can see the detail of that. So it's telling me here notes was essentially originated by Sage Copilot. The overdue reminder email was sent. So you've got that sort of traceability should you need it. Right, let's just close out of a few of these. So we're back to there. It'll update your chase status as well if needed. Now, easy enough to do it manually if you want to. So if you just want to come in and quickly process them and nice and easy to send them that way. But I suppose the big one, the big time saver is automating that process. So I don't want to have to come in every week or even every day and say, right, well, I'm going to generate X, Y, Z and send those out. What I want to do is I want to automate that task. Now, you've got a manage layouts option as well. So in here, you can choose which of your invoice layouts that you've got available you want to use. You just browse, and it would just be a case of selecting it from your standard sort of list. Same for your customer statements as well. So if you've designed your own layouts, you could use that. But then if we go into manage automated reminders, now mine's already set up. Now with automated reminders, you can't just use your local version of Outlook and it's not going to pick those up. With automated reminders, you need to enter your SMTP settings for your email. Now, a lot of you will use Outlook. There is information in our help center on how to do that. And it will just help you guide you through that process. So Some of them can be quite tricky these days to integrate or to have a bit of software integrate. So Gmail, for instance, you would need like a PIN number these days if you want to integrate with that. So I think it's called an app password that you need if you're using Google Mail or Gmail. So you'll find more information about it. Just search online for that type of information. Otherwise, have a look in our help center, and it's got loads of the relevant SMTP settings that you might require. But here we've got the sort of the 4 reminder emails that you can send. So we've got an upcoming. So we've got it currently flagged 7 days before it's due. We've got overdue. Again, you can customize these. And so this is 7 days overdue by default. Then we've got a warning, which will be sent at 14 days overdue. And then we've got a legal action threat, essentially that legal action template, which will be sent at 21 days overdue. So you can customize this. So just all look pretty much the same, just worded slightly different. Now in here, you've got settings. So you've got your reminder settings, you've got your schedule settings as well. I want to quickly mention the schedule settings because some people do not like automated emails going out at a time during the night or outside of working hours. By default, the schedule will run daily at 1 o'clock in the morning. So you can change that if required. So if you want to send them at sort of 9 o'clock in the morning, you can do that. So basically it'll look at whatever you've got scheduled and say, right, at 9 o'clock, essentially these are the automated emails that are going to be sent out. You can do it manually. So if you make any changes, you can just say, right, almost like catch up now and process anything you need to do. You can switch off the disabled automated reminders if you want to. So you can just think, actually, I don't like that process. I don't want to use it anymore. You can come in and you can switch off. You can disconnect it as well. But I wanted to point out that because, as I say, you've probably all had it where, if you haven't got your phone on silent, an email pings through in the middle of the night and you think, oh, what's that I've received there? You can change your settings so you're not going to upset your customers anymore. It might just be a bit of a threat as well that you're prompting them in the middle of the night, right? You need to make sure you pay me. So you're sending that email out at 1 o'clock. So you can change that if needed. Let's just cancel out that screen. So we looked at the managed schedule settings. You can exclude certain customers as well. So if you want to, you can go in and say, right, well, actually, this customer here, I don't want to send reminders to. It might be you've already discussed with them and maybe they're in financial difficulties or whatever it is, or maybe you've got a close relationship with them and you don't want to keep bombarding them with emails. You can do that. And you can always come in and obviously it's almost like reactivate them as well to bring them back into the mix if anything is overdue. Now coming down to the main part here, we've got, so just upcoming as an example, we can customize the templates. So we looked at that earlier where we were just sending it manually. So you've got this, essentially you've got the same options here. But again, the big difference coming in here when it's automated is that you've got your reminder option. So you can say, right, you can change that before. So if I just want to send it on the day or maybe the day before it's due, just as a little prompt, so you can choose that. So in the build up, how far in advance to that due date are you wanting to give them a little bit of a nudge and a bit of a reminder that the invoice is still outstanding? So you can change this. It's set to 7 days by default. You can set the value as well. So by default, it will be set to 0, meaning that any value of invoice that's outstanding, it would send that reminder for. You might set a lower value, you might increase that value. So you think, well, actually, I don't want to send reminders for anything sort of say £10 or under, for instance. And you can also, along with this, when you send it, you can change the status as well. So again, the rest of the information was pretty much the same. So subject line, again, you can change it. You can draft with Copilot again, and then you've got the information there if you want to. If you want to pull information through from, say, the customer record, you can do that. You've got that range of fields again that you can pull through. And again, you've got that little tick box at the bottom as well. So when it's automatically posted, do you want to put an entry into the customer's communications tab within their record? If you're quite happy with that, you would just save and close. So you can tick the ones that you want to be sent. Which ones do you want to use? You might think, well, once I get overdue, I'm just going to handle it manually. Or maybe you just think, well, actually, just let it do it all automatically. As soon as it hits the relevant point, it'll just automatically send out that email. So again, saving your time. If you think about if you're doing it manually at the moment, how much of your time does that take? So if you're working credit control, or you're going through every morning and say, or every weekend, saying, right, well, these are upcoming. Quick question from Danielle there. So Danielle's just asking there, can you attach copies of the invoices to the template email? Absolutely. So Half mentioned this earlier, this manage layouts option. So we've got your invoice layout and you've got your customer layout. So what it will do is when you send out either manually or via automated for a particular invoice, so this one here, it says it's reference 92. So that reference generally would refer to the invoice number in invoices and credits. Now, if that invoice actually still exists with invoices and credits, which probably in the majority of instances, nearly 100% of you will have that invoice, it will still be there unless for some reason you've deleted it for whatever reason. But as long as that exists within the invoices and credits ledger, it will send a copy and attach a copy of the invoice to the email using the appropriate layout. If that invoice no longer exists for whatever reason within the invoices and credits ledger, it will use the statement layout. And instead it will send the details of essentially that basic information, that basic transactional information from the customer's transaction activity. Well, by default, it should attach the invoice itself. Now, if I just pop into my Outlook for a moment. Where's it? This one here. So this is the one we sort of output earlier. It's just opened on my other screen. I'll drag that across so we can see it. So this is the one that I output earlier, that basic reminder. So you can see it's attached. Well, it's got my company name, which is Sage Demos V32, and it's in invoice number 92. So this is the one that was generated automatically for me. So it's attached the PDF. Let's just open it. And again, if you used your own template, you might have logos in there, you might have different text, and however you've designed your own layout, it will automatically use that. Pauline, you mentioned there, can it attach both an invoice and a statement? No, it will be one or the other. So it will default to generate or send out a copy of the invoice. If that invoice still exists within invoices and credits. So it will attach that PDF automatically for you. Let's just get rid of some of these. I've got that many windows open when you try to demonstrate anything with integration with email. So have a go of that. if you've got it, if you're on, remember you need on 32.1 currently, it's to have access to the payment reminders functionality, and obviously the automated element, that's the bit that's going to save you the time. So have a bit of think, if you're not using it now currently, how long do you spend on sending out payment reminders and chasing your customers? So what if that could just happen automatically for you? So we'll invest a little bit of time getting it set up so the emails are right, make sure that you're specifying the right template and it's sending it out automatically. How much time is that going to save you? Remember, with those emails as well, or even the invoices, you can include your bank details on there so your customers can pay you online. So again, they're not having to then contact you to say, right, well, I've got your email. Yeah, sorry, I'm overdue. Right, can I just make a payment now? And you say, right, well, yeah, you can take the payment, or you can pay us online with these details. You don't need to get involved with that. You're just providing that upfront. Again, just streamlining those processes to make your life that little bit easier. So I hope that makes sense to you there, Gemma, as well. Right, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly pop back to the slides. So once you start using Copilot, one of the things I always encourage people to do is get involved. What do you want to see next? What would you like it to do? If it doesn't quite work how you would like it to work, get involved. Let us know how you want that to work. You can submit your suggestions via what we term the ideas portal. And that goes for anything to do with your Sage. I'll just quickly share my screen again. I'll show you, well, I'll just provide you with the link. I'll quickly show you how you can do that. So all you would do, if you've got any ideas or suggestions for your software, you would just go to the home page, so home on the taskbar on the left there. You then scroll down and you'll have this roadmap option. So give it a click. It'll take you to this page. Now again, my resolution is really low, so a bit of scrolling involved. So it's this bit here, have your say. You would just click the link and you can see, it'll take you to the ideas portal. You can see what people have voted for. You can see what people have submitted. You can get involved. You can vote for them yourself. Obviously, they're done by categories as well. So you've got one for accessibility, access rights, automation, backup and restoring. If you want to filter the results, but get involved. Let us know. Don't just sit there and think, oh, Sage still haven't done that. It doesn't work quite how I want it. Let us know what you're after. If they're on there, we can read them. The more votes they get, the more likely these options are to be included and developed into the software. Pauline, your other question there, just going back to Pauline's question. Pauline was saying, can you customize in the template to send to more than one email? Let me quickly demonstrate that one. So we go back to customers and Copilots. Just let it load. Go back into debt management. So if I go back into here and customize the template. So up here, we've got the selection. So if we want to send it to email address 2 as well. So remember, in up-to-date versions of Sage 50 accounts, you can have up to 6 email addresses in there. So actually, these reminder emails, you might not want to go to email address 1. You might record it in a different email address number. So as long as you've got it specified, and ideally you want to be consistent, so you can choose which of the email addresses you want to pop that into. Obviously, you've got your standard sort of potentially your CC. Again, you've got the same option, and your BCC as well. So your BCC, quite commonly, rather than have it just sat in your sent items, you might say, right, I want you to send a copy on the BCC, and you might just essentially select an email address that you want to add that to. But again, you've got various options in there. So again, give it a go. just switch that one off as well. But the key there is it automates that task. It's the time-saving element. But you can pick and choose what gets sent and when, so you can dictate the scheduling. Right, so if you've got any final questions, I think I've just about picked them up along with Laura, and Matt's joined us as well, and also Abby. So if you've got any final questions, if you want to pop them in there, we'll try and pick them up before we end the webinar in just a couple of minutes. If I don't get a chance to answer your questions, I'll drop you an email at some point later this afternoon. Remember, if you want a copy of the handout, it is available to download now. It's just a copy of the slides that we've used. The recording will be included on the email that you receive in round about an hour's time, along with links so you can register for our upcoming sessions, and also so you can access our recordings. Loads of webinars available. I mentioned earlier that our webinar timetable currently runs up to and including December at the moment. If there's any topics you'd like to see covered, do let us know. Just while we're waiting for those final questions to come through, I'm going to quickly thank you for coming along today. So I appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let us know what you think though. Have your say on the webinar as well. There'll be a little survey pop up as you leave the webinar. So let us know what you thought about the webinar. Is it what you were expecting? Would you like to see it more in depth? We are planning on running more in-depth sessions on Copilot from January onwards. So we'll be splitting the standard sort of setting up Copilot webinar to setting up Copilot. It's a good introduction, that one. Gives you a bit more idea of what the insights have available in them. The report with Copilot, we look at that a bit more in depth, and then we'll be running a separate session and a lot more in depth on what we've covered today on the payment reminders option. So watch this space for that one. But let us know what you think. Do take that minute to complete the survey. Your follow-up email with the various links. Watch out for that one. You get that in around about an hour's time. Pauline's final question there. Did you say automated reminders will only work with SMTP? Yeah, so even if you're using Outlook, so let's say your local Outlook, if you're sending it manually, so the manual reminders, it will use your local settings, but for the automated reminders, you've got to do SMTP settings for that one. So even if you're using Outlook, you can still do that. It's just it needs those to be entered. But again, you'll be guided through that process when you go through setting that up. Carol, you mentioned about extra licenses. At the moment, I think they are chargeable. I would say watch this space. I think that's due to change with the release of version 33. So watch this space. I don't know how much an extra license currently costs. You need to speak to our sales team because it will vary per subscription, but do watch this space. I think when our update comes out, that may well change. Right, we'll end the webinar just at that point. Again, do take that minute to complete the survey. Hopefully, we'll see you on some of the other International Accounting Day webinars as well. So do get yourself registered if you haven't already. Many thanks and take care.